everyone, welcome to another video on the channel. Today we are setting up the month of November in my reading journal, and I cannot believe I'm saying that. We're at the second to last set up for the rest of the year, and where has 2025 gone? Anyway, if you're new here, last year I took you to 12 different fantasy destinations, and this year I have been focusing on sort of like a reference textbook of all our findings. And for the month of November, or chapter 11, we're finally at demons. Now, I did decide to put potions and spells for October, but I knew that I wanted to do demons at some point, so I figured it would be nice to follow it. The thing about this theme, though, is it is much darker than I've ever done before. I wanted to test myself a little bit with this, and it's not an aesthetic that I generally lean into. I have done gothic-styled themes before, especially when I've been working with Blunder from the Shepherd King duology. That's obviously a gothic fantasy, so I have leaned into those types of styles before, but this one was very out of my element, and I'm glad that I gave it a go. I'm not sure if I would ever return to something like this again. It was a little bit more on the scarier side. I know this is not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Unfortunately, without taking fan art, because I don't have credit for that, and avoiding AI as much as possible, there wasn't really enough demon content that I could truly lean into what I read about. Obviously, our demons are definitely not always depicted as what you'll see in the following pages, but I decided to avoid Pinterest for this month and give Canva a go. Obviously, they also use AI there, so I was checking the captions to make sure nothing was AI generated there. You can do that because they do generally list what is AI and what's not on there. But yeah, it was interesting to use that feature. And if you do use Pinterest and you hate AI, or you want to avoid it as much as possible like I do, you can now turn off generated AI or that kind of thing in your search engine. There is tutorials all online now. I will link one in the description if that's something that you want to do. I've turned it off, so now we can return to Pinterest if we ever want to, but next year is a different style, so I've just got one more month to capture. So yeah, just thought I'd let you guys know that. For the month of November, I did also want to use my watercolor palette, so I decided to use a black metallic from, I think my palette is Jasart. I'll have everything that I use in the description below, as per usual, including the font. I believe it had something to do with devils, because I searched up demon and then I searched up devil, and chose a font that way. I really liked the look of this font. It really leaned into the aesthetic that I was going for, something that's really left field for me, but I also felt like it was missing something, so I did come back and put this dual metallic gel pen around the outside, and I do that for every other header as well. So now that the page is almost done, I'm just going to do the border outline, and then we'll stick down some of the photos that I found for demons on the front here and move on to the next pages. But I did want to just address very quickly, before we do that, on this video, there are moments where the board underneath the book started moving. So for the longest time now, I've actually had equipment sitting at the front of my desk that held the board down, and I didn't acknowledge that that was doing a great service until I took it all off to film this, so I had enough room, because I have moved my camera angle a little bit in hopes that it would stop giving so many headshots. Spoiler alert, I've had to edit a lot out, but it did mean that the board was freeballing all over the desk. So I have now since attached that down onto the desk with removable options. But yeah, this won't happen again, but you will see there's a couple of points throughout this video where the board starts shifting underneath me and I have to fix it. So we're now onto the monthly view, and last month I did test having the calendar all on one side, on this left hand side, and I'm so glad that I tested that, because I'm so relieved that not only has stopped me from making the calendar the wrong size, but also it just looks much cleaner and I've enjoyed it. So this page will be this way for 2026. I'm really happy with this layout now. It always gets to this point of the year where I start testing at least something, right? So I'm really glad that I've got this page sort of done and dusted for next year's monthlies. But this is a really good helpful page for me. I love the calendar view, and also having a place for my arcs right next to a calendar always makes sense to me. So this layout is working out perfectly. I have gone ahead already and stuck down some decorations, as you can see. I'm going to stick some washi tape up the top here. And this is where I started to really play around with the colors. I knew I was going to do black and red. And it's not a typical look for me. I don't hate this at all. And I'm really quite happy with how it's come together in the end. But it's just so out of my comfort zone. And interestingly, my city's colors are black and red. Maybe that's why I was trying to avoid it. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's just very stark. And I do think it comes together in the end. But I did a lot of work to make it sort of come into its own. Some of these stickers and pictures, like I mentioned, may be a little bit uncomfortable for some people that are viewing, and I totally respect if you are not going to watch this video all the way through. I don't want to offend anyone with their cultures, but obviously a lot of fantasy books have demons in them, and it would be a disservice not to have them sort of documented down. So as you can see, there are a variety of pictures that I found, as well as the stickers that I created. And I didn't use my Cricut to cut them out or anything. I just did them all on one page, printed it out, and then cut them out by hand. And you'll see that sometimes I might cut a little bit extra away. And yeah, I'm really happy with how they worked out, but obviously on camera with the light shining on them, they are a bit shiny. So I do, in the final flip through, sort of hold the book up a little bit so you can see some of the design without that glare coming back at you. So now the monthly view is finished and we can move on to the next page. And normally this is a Readathons page and then a quotes page, because I added the quotes page in June and I haven't stopped since. Don't worry, there is a quotes page, but I have 2 Readathons this month to participate in. 𝓞𝓽𝓱𝓮𝓷𝓽𝓿 is back for November and December, so of course I'm going to participate in that. I do it every year. And NetGalley November was also on for November. And if you know me, I read a lot of ARCs and I'm extremely behind. So I wanted to participate and really focus on ARCs over November, but I just couldn't give up 𝓞𝓽𝓱𝓮𝓷𝓽𝓿. So that's why there are 2. There were a few mistakes on this page as well. And I do try my best to cover that up with stickers and decoration. There is also a tiny bit where on the left-hand side box I've gone over the line, and I'm about to fix that with a white gel pen. For little mistakes like that, it's super easy to just get that marked down. So now that the grids are all out on the pages, let's fix that and then fix this issue down the bottom. So I did not know that I had done too many boxes. I counted several times, but clearly I cannot count enough. And so I only needed spaces for 27 prompts, I believe, and I had 30. So easy fix up. We just go and cover that with decoration. So I did use some florals that are like a burgundy color. I've used them earlier in the year in May. They were with the swords theme. So I really liked them and I thought they would balance out well with this theme being a bit more on the darker side and the flowers being darker. So I've added them in to sort of soften things a little bit. And in this case, they worked really well. I also decided for this one sticker that I felt like it needed a backing towards it. So I did put some cardstock behind it. And yeah, a lot of this decoration was sort of down to playing around with it. I kind of had an idea where I wanted things to go, but not the actual pictures. So a lot of footage has been cut. I was going to leave this a little bit longer, but one, there was so much footage with the extra 2 readathons and just like the extra time that I spent faffing around with the decoration. And some of you really enjoy those longer videos, but I've had some feedback recently saying that my videos are too long. So I would love in the comments if you could let me know if that is something that is just for some minority groups of my viewers, or if it is something that a lot of you have found and you would like shorter videos, let me know and I'm happy to accommodate. But the last time I started cutting too much footage out, then I got messages saying I missed the longer version, so we need to find a happy medium, I guess. So on the 𝓞𝓽𝓮𝓷𝓼 side, I decided to play the board game and I used the blank board. So I'm obviously going to be rolling 2 dice at the same time. And is that die? 2 die? Or is it 1 die? I'm completely butchering that. Anyway, have 2 dice and roll them, and then whatever they land on is what I have as the prompt. And I catered it to myself because this is to get me through my arcs and not anyone else's arcs. So I decided to make my own prompts. But first, I realized because the boxes were so big, there was going to be no room to put down the books that I read for these readathons. Like I normally like to list them out. So I decided to make this little bookmark that I would sit in the middle of the journal for the month. And one side will be for 𝓤𝓲𝓱𝓮𝓬𝓿 and the other side will be for 𝓞𝓽𝓼𝓮𝓷𝓼. I have the ambition of using tiny covers at the end of the month, so we'll see how that works out. And I'll just use a post-it note, I guess, to track what or write with pencil on the prompts. But yeah, I really wanted to have something a little bit more decorative to lean into for that, and so I made this little bookmark that you can see right now. On one side it's going to have for 𝓤𝓲𝓱𝓮𝓬𝓷𝓮𝓭, which is this side. I thought the cute little demon would suit well for this readathon, and then on the other side we just have, I think, just a demon head. Yeah, like I said, some of the designs aren't my favorite, but I wanted to represent all types of demons, I guess. So yeah, lent into very different styles, I guess, for me. So this little paper pack is actually stickers. So I'm just cutting away the excess shiny stuff and then sticking them down. And for the 𝓞𝓽𝓼𝓮𝓷𝓮𝓭 header, I didn't use my stamps, but for 𝓤𝓲𝓱𝓮 I did. I just felt like it wouldn't fit if I used the stamps for such a big header. And then this bookmark is done. And I think that makes this page or these 2 spreads done. So moving on to filling in just those prompts that I did kind of off camera for you guys because I was trying to keep the footage lower. And we're now on to the functional spread that had to have a little bit of rearranging to make it all fit. I knew I wanted my quotes page still, so my cat has decided to come and cry at me. Sorry for that. But I knew I wanted the quotes page, and I knew I needed to keep some of my main go-to functional spreads. Turns out I wasn't paying enough attention. It was dinner time for the animals, so she came to remind me of the time. Cats are so humbling, aren't they? Anyway, so on this side, I knew I wanted to have just the quotes page on the left-hand side, so I had to move everything around and shuffle it around a little bit. On the right-hand side, the good thing is, because I'm doing 2 readathons, I'm not going to need my prompt section, so I won't be playing the TBR vending machine for November. There just won't be enough time, and it's very ambitious to have 2 readathons as it is. So giving up that page, that section of the page isn't too much of a struggle when I know that I've got other things to focus on still to keep me going with my reading. The main thing for having prompts and all that is to sort of guide my reading anyway. I cannot mood read. I'll just not read enough if I did that way. So I like to have some structure. We're on to the last page now, and I was a little bit unsure of how I was going to do the header because the paper that I was using for this is 12 by 12 and in a B5 that doesn't quite reach both sides. So I decided I would stick some of the demons in the corner, and that worked out quite well actually. But I then had to go and use my watercolors on some sticker paper for the header, which again ended up working out okay, but I did have a bit of a moment where I wasn't paying attention and watercolor sort of just, well, not watercolor, but water dropped onto the part where I didn't want it to. You can see kind of there above the A and the D, and so I had to cut that away a little bit because yeah, that wasn't intentional. So now that the headers are on, this page is almost done. However, I do make a problem for future me, which is I decided that I really wanted to use the black dot marker from Anko for the headers for each book. And of course, that pen is so inky, and I don't know why I didn't think this through and use a Tombow instead. But here you go. I noticed that it has ghosted and it's really bad on this side. So that's a problem for me to figure out later on. But for now, I'm really happy with how it looks. So now that the headers are on, which is author, series, pages, dates, format, and genre for each book, we can number each book from 1 to 12 and then stamp in the 5-star stars onto the page. And of course, one of them does end up not fully stamping, so I do end up correcting that with some pen. And then this page is done and we can shift into the final flip through. We're actually having a storm right now. It's actually quite bad. We're on a red weather warning, so I thought I'd fill this time in, but it is a bit funny to be filming or recording a narration when there's like full-on wind smashing the side of my house. Anyway, I hope you're doing really well. We're really fine. Don't stress about us. Obviously, you will see this video after the storm, so we're fine. But yeah, what do you think of this theme? Let me know if you need these videos to be shorter, longer. Feedback on that would be really great. And until we next meet, I hope you have fun reading or journaling, and I will see you in another video very, very soon. Bye, everyone.